So this is a voltage regulator that I had ordered for my 2004 Mercedes E500 W211 chassis. Ordered it from Rock Auto, maybe $40 or $50. This was for my alternator that seemed to have been failing. I got these warning messages on my dash about my battery or alternator, and it was in red, the warning messages, and ultimately my battery drained out and I lost power steering and my power brakes. It gave me reduced braking distance warning. So essentially this voltage regulator is what mounts on top of the actual alternator. It is bolted on the alternator and it regulates the voltage so that it doesn't exceed say 14 volts and doesn't go below a certain level, maybe 13 volts. So the alternator is supposed to produce the voltage greater than 12 volts, typically 13 to 14 volts, that charges the battery. But in my case my alternator wasn't working. Eventually I ordered a new alternator. It was a Bosch alternator, and I also ordered a new voltage regulator, but ultimately I landed up replacing the entire alternator, the new Bosch alternator, which included a voltage regulator, because I had a lot of miles on my car, 140,000 miles. So I thought I might as well replace the entire alternator rather than diagnosing and just possibly replacing the voltage regulator. But it was possible that the fault was only in the voltage regulator and not in the entire alternator. But anyway, so I had also ordered an extra voltage regulator, which I ended up not using. So I'm going to be returning this to Rock Auto, where I ordered it from. I think it was maybe $40 or something like that. And this one was a brand VEMO, that I ordered on Rock Auto. Looks like it's made in India. A lot of auto parts are made in India because India has a large auto manufacturing industry. So I think that's the part number V30770024, and it says it's Germany, but it's actually obviously made in India. And here it says that's the name of the shop, viral-shop.de. Anyway, that's the reference number, and this is the barcode. I don't know if that makes a difference, but I was going to examine this voltage regulator to see what a new one looks like, and typically what fails in the regulator on an alternator, if that was the problem. So just removing this is what came, the new alternator by VEMO, and it looks like this. It's mounted on using 3 bolts, 1, 2 and 3 maybe. This is the actual connector, the electrical connector, and you can see it's got this tab that pushes in. Probably it holds the voltage regulator on the connector. The connector probably has a clip-on mechanism that clips onto this beyond this tab. Those are the 2 connectors inside, you could see. And anyway, the part that I'm not sure what this is, it's probably some kind of connector also, or maybe it's a sensor. Okay, so the part that actually wears out, so I'm going to remove this. This is just a protective packaging cap that it came with. The part that actually wears out is these 2 contacts, and they are spring loaded contacts. What happens is they make contact with the the rotating or the spinning alternator, and they are under constant pressure. They're spring loaded, so they depress down like this. But over time what happens is these wear out, and they either become too short to make contact, they wear out, and basically maybe they burn out too electrically. um, but essentially these two contacts on the top is what wear out, and when it does wear out, it probably doesn't make good contact with the alternator. I think this is used to sense the voltage maybe being produced by the alternator, and then this is probably the the controlled voltage that goes out maybe. So it's possible that the alternator might not be working just because of this part because of specifically because of these two contacts that wear out. And when they wear out, they might become short, or they might burn out or something like that. But they're spring loaded, and the idea is they they constantly press against some contacts internally to the alternator. This part actually plugs into the alternator, this squarish part. um, and then there's a cover or a bracket that goes on top of this, that mounts on top of this to kind of protect it. Not sure what this metal sheet here is for. Maybe it's for heat dissipation, not too sure. And then there are these fin like things over here. Essentially that's what it looks like. And I wanted to also measure how long these are, so when I actually see my old, or when I get this out from my old alternator, I can compare. But I have a tape measure here which I'm going to use to measure it. So it's like it's hard to measure on this tape measure, but it looks like it might be like half an inch long.